While we hope it never happens, Next War Iran, the latest in the Next War series, takes a look at what a conflict in that country might look like. We're going to unbox this game here today on Legendary Tactics. All right, so I got a package in the mail on Halloween afternoon. I'm like, oh, this could be who knows what this is.
Could be very spooky.
Could be very spooky, but it is a game that we are going to learn.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're going to be the first one to teach me how to play, honestly. But we're going to unbox it here for you. So why don't you do the honors?
Yes. Okay.
And we'll get this opened here. And that's a very dull knife.
Yeah. Do we need another knife?
Yes. It's
there we go.
It's a prop. It's just one of those prop knives.
Yeah, exactly. Eh?
So yeah, let's see if we can just get into it. Rip into it. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, these boxes are famous for their packing peanuts.
Yeah, look.
So lots of packing peanuts.
Yeah.
The games are always exquisitely protected.
Yes.
And there we go.
Next War Iran.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you had said, you want to learn this game,
yes,
which I'm fine with. You're a rules guy as well, which I'm also fine with. What is it about Next War Iran that kind of caught your interest to the point where you said, I want to learn this thing? Well,
like I was talking to you earlier about, I've always wanted to step my toe in kind of like the wargaming kind of community, and I wanted to see, and I kind of liked the idea of like a future war conflict. Many of there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of war games are mainly some form or fashion of a historical conflict, and I like the idea of future, like the idea of a future conflict or kind of like alt history, which this is kind of in that flavor of. But it definitely is like more on the heavier wargaming side, based on some of the other games in the series, like Next War Iran, Next War Taiwan, Next War Korea, that kind of stuff.
This might be a heavier.
Yes, I'm gonna have to really go through it.
Way to dip your toe into the wargaming genre. But I will say honestly, though, I think theme is a major part. Like with anything, but if you're getting into a game where you really are intrigued by the theme. And I remember buying these Avalon Hill games back when I was, 12 years old, and I would just spend the time because it was fascinating to me. I loved that idea of recreating history and so forth. That for me really got me intrigued. So I think the theme is always a big part of any game choice, but especially if you're going to be spending some time with a game learning how to play. Make sure it's a theme that you really are interested in and intrigued by. So let's open it up here.
Yeah, so let's try with our dull knife.
If this knife will work for us here. There we go. The cover is a whole bunch of fancy weaponry.
Yes, of course,
It's definitely gets the idea across. Let's get rid of this plastic here. So as we open up the box here, we can turn that around as well. So, all right, the two
nice
ten-sided dice.
D10s and a bunch of bags for your bags.
I've noticed there's a bunch of games like this where, I'm only one or two dice. That's it.
Yes, for the entire game.
And then the baggies.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Got to have the baggies.
Okay, so we have our two different rule books. So this one is just game specific for just Next War Iran. Like I've seen a bunch of these online for every single one of the Next War series.
Okay.
So specific units and specific weather.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, but is this for people who already know the series and they're just okay?
So that rule book is just for
the changes to the other rule sets. Okay.
Right. And then this is if you want to actually learn how to play the game.
Yeah.
So and then of course standard and advanced.
Yes,
so if you want, if you didn't think it was more challenging enough already, it's like we got to go from baby to advanced. So we have the specific for just this rule set. So specific units and specific, tactics.
And these are the scenarios as well.
Yes.
So we've got some of the scenarios here. So strategic surprise, which is
the standard. That's like a lot of times I was reading with a lot of the next war games, a lot of times where one opponent gets like the most ideal setup for that. So these are like different setup scenarios.
Yes, extended build up.
Yeah.
And interesting. Okay.
But this is the whole, like we were saying before. This is this is the whole sequence of play.
Yes. Yes.
So actually, once you get down to it, it's the actual. There's a lot of different units with a lot of special conditions, but the actual sequence of what you do in a turn isn't as bad.
Yeah, and I find that's the basic one. This is the advanced.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Now you have to play attrition and
But you know what? Again, if you are just following through the procedures, a lot of times, like that's all it is. Usually the advanced part of it. Partly it's like the exceptions to the rules, but a lot of times it just means a longer procedure to play through. So
so then we have some terrain, because there's a bunch of different terrain on the board. Where
TEC, terrain effects chart. So,
where it's all these
and the
modifiers.
Combat result table, that's classic, And it looks like they go with the standard odds based.
Yes.
And depending on the terrain, right? So if you're in flat or flat woods, then you have different columns based on like you add up your odds of the units, but they fall under a different column depending on where they're at, and that changes the combat result.
Yeah, so, like I love the idea that somebody had to like meticulously think, is this a 1 or a 1.5? Like literally one of the scenarios is 1.5 to 1.
Yes.
Instead of like, well, it's 2 might be too much, but 1 is not enough, so I got to go halfway.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
On the table.
Love it. So these are the game tables.
Yes.
Let me take a look at that one. So these are things like paradrops, air defense. What else you got? Contested sea move, mine clearing.
Because anything
lots
could
of
happen.
airbase. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. The other aspect of the advanced type of these games is the kind of the sandbox nature of it. How far they take you. If you play checkers or chess or something, you're working within a pretty restricted zone. But when you have that sandbox feel where you really can take the game kind of wherever you want it to, it's kind of, that of course requires some rules overhead.
Yes.
With that. So, and then you've got some different strike effects, and that's okay. What else?
And then reinforcement schedules.
Okay.
Yes.
So bringing in reinforcements.
Because you didn't want an Excel spreadsheet enough already.
Yes. You can totally see that this was all done on Excel, and they just copied and pasted it into a player aid.
And then unit identification, so you can actually know what your units are.
Yes. Now, a lot of the units, a lot of these games will use kind of the standard NATO iconography. So once you know what they represent, it actually is pretty standard across a lot of games.
These games,
right? And then you've got special operations as well. Special operations forces that are say paradropping in and trying to stay alive, trying to stay hidden and so forth. So that's interesting. All right.
And then this is just
another
another
repeat of that one. So
so for each player.
All right.
And then we finally get to the boards. that only didn't take enough time. So this is just the air superiority. That's why
you're learning this.
That's why. Thanks. So this is just the air superiority board. So it just states that you have all the different factions, and you just have it where what state of the air superiority are they in.
Yes. I've always found, I don't know why, I've always found these games where you're managing the planes on your aircraft carrier to be really fascinating and fun. Even if it's just a simple track like this, like you're ready, you do your flight, you come back, you land in recovery, then you move up to whatever, and you move along the track, and then you're ready to fly again. I don't know, I've always found that really fun to manage. And how many planes do you send, and how many do you keep back as protection, what they called cap, and that sort of thing. So this is just for the air management. Then I guess we have the board here, or at least one of the boards.
One of the boards, one of the many boards.
All right.
But, But here we have, so this is going to be like the overview map, because I know that that's like the actual.
This is the tactical.
This is the tactics where you actually place, you do the little like maneuvers. But this is like the overview. Oh no, there's also this. Okay.
Okay, there's a little zone there.
That might actually connect to this.
Oh, that would make sense actually.
Yeah. So now this is a really big.
This is
a
not
table
going to
hog.
be in camera.
This is going to be a table hog.
Yeah, for sure. But
I apologize to the.
Yeah, this is going to be
a whole table hog.
Yes.
So, just to elaborate for these kinds of games, and I'm sure that players who play these kind of games know this, but you need a massive table.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Like
and having some plexiglass over top might not be a bad idea.
I'm sure that I have seen people do that where they have plexiglass on top of it so they can make writing and write where
where things are happening.
Yes.
And it's actually a nice idea, and they'll even use tweezers to move the pieces around.
Yes, because they'll have different tiles stacked on each other.
Yes.
So they'll have tweezers so that they don't mess up the movements and stuff like that.
So here.
What did I get myself into?
Yeah, what have you gotten yourself into? Now he sees it. He's like, oh my gosh. No, but you know what? It's going to be a really fascinating thing to see how all the forces, naval, air, land, how they all interact.
Yes.
And so we've got more of a strategic kind of display
big,
here,
like
big picture,
naval.
where we've got holding boxes of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Oman. They have the different things there, forces that are kept there, ready to send in for airstrikes or whatever. So that's going to be really interesting. And then just so people can see in the overhead map here, we've got this is the more of the actual like tactical map. Here. So,
all the different cities. This is mostly on the coast of Iran.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was expecting more of an overall.
But we're going to be more coast heavy.
It's going to be very focused on.
Like I don't even think is Tehran even on this map? I don't think it is.
Oh, I don't.
No, it is not.
Oh, interesting.
So because Tehran is like all the way up here.
It's all the way up there. Okay, all right.
So it's mostly coastal.
And then we've got the counters.
Not that there's not enough stuff in this.
Yes, actually, well, that said, I mean, I don't know if this would qualify as a monster game, to be honest. Yeah. You got 4 sheets of counters.
Of different units.
Of the different units. So it looks like we have, Air Force, some things to track. I guess tactical nukes.
Yeah, we're going to get some tactical nukes, small nukes.
Yeah. Things to just mark areas being targeted or destroyed or what have you. Then we've got some SAM sites and different units. I guess those would be probably the Iranian ones. And then you've got the U.S. Oh, we got some A-10 tank killers there. And the U.S. Air Force, and you got the infantry units here. Mm-hmm. So this could be a very interesting insight. Could give some very interesting insights into what is all being looked at with regard to. Unfortunately, there's a lot of conflict happening in the world right now, and Iran is part of it. So it'd be very interesting to see how that all interacts and what sort of defenses they would have set up.
Yeah, theoretically.
And that sort of thing. And then you're bringing in, I don't know if these are the British or who these other...
well, this is French, this is Russian.
Oh, Russian, okay.
This is British,
yeah.
U.S.
That's the U.S.
Yes, they're Iranian troops would be somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think they're there's these ones, the khaki colored ones.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. Mm-hmm. But I guess you'll be telling me.
Yeah,
I guess you're
at some
willing
point.
to learn it. That's good. But yeah, man, it looks like there's a lot of, like as I said, very sandboxy. Like there's going to be a bunch of different directions that we can take this. So I think it'll be really, really interesting to give it a try. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us for this unboxing of Next War Iran and from GMT Games. And we want to thank them for sending us a review copy. And we look forward to playing this, maybe in a few weeks. We'll give you a bit of time for this one, all right? So anyway, thanks so much for joining us. This is NATO and...
This is Zach.
So get out there, get gaming, and be legendary.